Hello and welcome to One United. I am Paritosh Joshi along with Anshuman Joshi and Wali Siddiqui. Manchester United have had a great run of form and we have a match against Arsenal at Old Trafford next in the Premier League. We'll be talking about the game against Arsenal, United's recent form, the questions regarding Donny van de Beek, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's criticism, and much more. We'll start with the mood of the panel today. I'll talk to Anshuman first. Anshuman, how are you feeling? United are playing quite well. We smashed Leipzig 5-0. That was quite a performance, and we've been on a sort of a run right now. So, how do you feel?
Well, I think after the Crystal Palace defeat, Oli quite frankly said that this team has not had a preseason, and this is going to be one of those years where the team is going to start quite late in the season. Like they're going to take a few weeks to regain the match fitness, and there are going to be a lot of multitude of issues that are going to resurface in the starting of the season, which is basically what we saw. That it's something that we have been observing with a lot of teams across the continent right now. That no team is perfect. Every team is dealing with injuries, issues, health concerns, and whatnot. And that is the same thing that we had. And the team was always there. The best of what we can perform was there to see last season. And we started very poorly. There is no doubt about that. And we looked all over the place. I think the 6-1 defeat was a bit of a culmination of all of those issues where everything just hit at once. And we just did not show up as we discussed after that match. And yeah, it was just one of those startings. And now, over the last 1.5 weeks, we just feel like we are coming into our rhythm. The team is coming. The team is starting to gel together again. Every single aspect has started improving on its own. And yeah, that's pretty much like if you were to sum it up. I think Oli, we started with slacking Oli a lot in the beginning that he was not picking up the right team, and I was at the forefront of it. And I would be the first one to say that credit goes to him here as well because he has been picking the team nicely. One of the major criticisms that Oli gets that his team does not have a lot of options, and he has been proving with a lot of options as we will discuss further in the show that he can now play with the back five. He has introduced a diamond that worked very effectively as well, and so options are coming in. The acquisitions that we had through are proving very promising right now, and you know what? This is just one of those phases where this is what we have had over the past 2 years now. Like Oli has had one of those right on the verge of sacking moments for 4 and 5 times over the past 1.5 years, and every time he has one of these moments, we have a very tough run of fixtures, and he just comes through all of them very smoothly. Like you look at the match with Paris, Leipzig, and the draw against Chelsea was also quite optimistic for me. I know that it was very defensive for both parties, but I think it was there were a lot of positives to take. So it has been a very optimistic few weeks for Manchester United, and I think it's safe to say that going into our weekend match against Arsenal, we are the stronger opposition. So yeah, I think we are getting into our rhythm, and I think we need to just remember the fact that a lot of criticism that comes towards Manchester United's way is that this is the biggest club in the world, and with the biggest club being the biggest club also mean that you are going to have a lot of eyes on you, and it is an English club, and as an English-speaking country, we contribute to a lot of the criticism and the scrutiny that comes on the club. So we are always going to have a lot of eyes on the club all the time. So every single defeat, every single draw, every single victory is going to be scrutinized over and over and over again. So I think this is just part and parcel of the game, and we are going to have much better performances than the ones we have had recently. We are also going to have some disappointing ones, and I think we are going to have to take that with a bit of salt. So yeah, good performances all around over the past 1 week and a half, and there's a lot of positives to look forward to.
Yep, quite well summed up there from Anshuman. Wali, what is your take on the whole situation and regarding Manchester United and the performances that we've seen quite so far in the tournament, in the tournaments?
Well, the Champions League Group H was supposed to be the group of death, but apparently it's turning out to be the group of death for the other clubs and not for us. I think we were the Grim Reaper in that group. So, good start by us over there. And I was quite overwhelmed the way that we beat RB Leipzig. They were the semi-finalists of last season, and they're the current leaders of Bundesliga. PSG are the current leaders of League One, and they were the finalists. So we have it in us to beat such quality teams, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his side have done it in the past as well. If you talk about the double over Manchester City, or if you talk about the draw result against Liverpool at home, then Tottenham beating Spurs, getting a draw away from home to Tottenham. So he has done it. He can deliver it on the big games, and then obviously beating Frank Lampard on three separate occasions as well. So the thing is that I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is now becoming a manager who is now really getting into the groove. That's what I feel, because he's now much more confident with his substitutions. Because now what we're getting to see is now he's making his substitutions in the 68th minute. And the last time that what we were seeing was that in the 85th or 87th minute, we were getting Odion Igalo. And what are you expecting Odion Igalo to do in the final 3 or 4 minutes? So basically, now he has squad depth to an extent, even though we were not quite satisfied with the transfer window, but he does have some personnels. He's managing those players quite well. He has, after that 6-1 defeat, he has designated those roles. He has changed the formation. He did have the cojones to tell Paul Pogba to settle for the bench for quite a while, and then come on the pitch after the 60 or 70 minutes. So that's a good thing. He rotated Bruno in the previous game, went with the
Yeah,
new formation again, and if you look at it, in the game versus PSG, though we played really well, but it was after the 70th minute that we transformed into a much better side, and that was when we played the diamond, and that is exactly what he did against RB Leipzig as well. It, since we do not have any wingers, we do not have a Jadon Sancho or a Gareth Bale. I think the diamond is the way to go, because you can play two strikers up front, and then you have your best midfielders coming in and partnering along over there. And I think that's the most productive thing. So I'm quite glad that he's now making the right decisions. I was disappointed the way that we drew against Chelsea, because we were clearly the better team. I think
yeah,
if we had the intention of going for it, we would have beat them, and that is exactly why even though I'm confident against Arsenal, I'm a little bit nervous that the intent, because it's only through the lineups that we get to see, we will get to know that with what approach are we going in. If we go in with a defensive mind or three at the back, I think it's going to be another draw or a smash and grab. But if we put in a similar shape that we did against RB Leipzig and put in some quality players, I really think that we can punish this Arsenal side who haven't been so confident in recent times. So I think it's going to be a really big game. And since our rivals are also struggling, I think Liverpool are drawing. They might win, but they are still drawing, as you can see against West Ham. They might drop points later tonight. You just need to string 2 or 3 consecutive wins in the Premier League, and you
yeah,
never know where that confidence can take you. So it's crucial that we win tomorrow.
yeah. It's crucial that we win tomorrow, and that will be a run of form, and we need this kind of run, as we've seen with Manchester United. That once we start winning, there are quite a few wins on the trot, and that is something we've seen of late. And it'll be good that we have it for a few matches. I also want to talk about the Leipzig match, and especially how how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is always criticized that he doesn't have tactics. He is just a fraud who is riding on the luck or riding on the players. He doesn't know anything about football, and especially from some of the naysayers of Manchester United and even some fans. I've seen many fans who were actually pissed that United are winning against PSG when they won against them. They were pissed deep down that the way United were playing against RB Leipzig, and I'm certain that you guys have also seen this, that some people, especially on the internet, who call themselves United fans, were actually downtrodden and shocked that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was able to pull off these results, especially after losing 6-1 against Tottenham Hotspurs. Wally, I'll talk to you first about the whole United fan base
Uh,
and the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing.
well, yes, it has been. I think our fan base is the most, if one of the most, if not the most divided fan base in the world after Real
Also
Madrid,
toxic,
because
also toxic, also
also quite
toxic.
toxic. Because uh, look, there are plenty of people who want Manchester United to win, but there are plenty of people who also want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to leave the club. There are plenty of people who think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right guy to stick with the club
Hmm.
uh, till the very end. But you have to respond as per what has happened in the recent game. You cannot sack a manager who has finished third uh, immediately. And even though, yes, you can say that the 6-1 defeat was big, but I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is also a soft target. He is targeted by almost everyone. And yes, you could say his credentials are not there, but we have seen glimpses. You can say that because the way that we won some of our games, it's been like one of the finest football games that we've played. And the thing is that the atmosphere that is created within the dressing room is also pivotal. If the players are fighting for the manager in the pressure situations, our team has always clicked because they fight for the manager, so they want him to be there. So if
Yeah,
they want him to be there, it's better for them to be with a manager whom they trust rather than having a manager like a Jose Mourinho and having a rift with him within a year or so. Now, for example, Mauricio Pochettino is the guy out there, and he's a pretty lovely guy. Has a good rapport with the players. He can be the next manager. You never know, but he hasn't won anything either. You can say that he's a proven manager, but are you quite sure that he'll? The next thing that I will expect from Pochettino is if he becomes a manager that he has to land us a league title because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the
mm,
PE teacher, if the PE teacher can get us to third place, then a much
yeah,
reputable manager than Pochettino has to give us the title, and that
yeah,
expectation has to be there. You can't give him as much time as Solskjaer got. So
yeah,
yeah, you have to respond as per the recent results. And even if we lose tomorrow, I don't think that we should say that no, sack him. After every game, we're discussing should he be the manager or should he not be the manager. That's not how it's
yeah.
done. And neither, and if we win, we shouldn't, completely say yes, he should be there for the next 4 or 5 years. You have to assess it. You have to assess the season and then make a judgment.
Yeah, 4 and 5 seasons is quite a long possibility, and that is some commitment that shouldn't be there, especially at a top club. That okay, 4 5 years you are safe. That can't be it. We always need to keep the whole situation in check. And right now, big ups to Ole. He has been performing really well. I've been always a backer of Ole, and what I believe in particular about the whole situation regarding Ole and Manchester United is, I've told this many a times in previous episodes and previous versions as well, that it's people don't understand that managing a football club or running a football team, especially a top one, a world class team who are world beaters, is not similar to running a company. This is not a company, and even the most well-oiled, well-gelled, and well-run companies, the CEO is a very important position and is someone who is in touch with the whole organization from bottom to the top. And that's why when you run a football team, you need someone who is a great man manager, and someone who knows the team inside out. And that is something that we've seen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we've seen with Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid. We saw something similar with Pep Guardiola and when he was with Barcelona, because of the history he had with the club. And we've seen this multiple times that whenever the so-called club legends, and especially midfielders, you will see this, that midfielders or attacking players slightly will have a more positive outlook when they come to the managerial positions. We'll be talking more about it and in the later versions, but we'll have to shift our talking point to something that is more important right now, and that is the football that is being played from Manchester United. And certainly there are some points that you all would want to put forward, and regarding the tactics that is being used. Anshuman, will start with you first. What do you think about the whole tactics and that football that United are playing right now?
Well, as I said in the beginning, that we seem to have a lot more options than we did in the beginning, and we are comfortable in back three. We are able to perform in a midfield diamond without the wingers, which I feel that if we can pull it off, I think it will be amazing because our right hand side is still very problematic. I mean, Mata is not quick. Greenwood isn't exactly a right-sided player, and I still have issues when Ole dishes out a front three with Dan James and Marcus Rashford with him within the side, something that he did against Chelsea as well. And look, kudos to him for what he has done in the Champions League, setting a counter-attacking team with the players he has. But I'm totally not approving the Dan James and Marcus Rashford situation because sure, if you want to play Marcus up front, that's fine. Look, he's not going to offer you any hold-up play. He's going to want to run behind the channels, and that is something that becomes a problem if he's not able to. So if you are playing him in a striking position against a low block, he's very useless because he's not going to hold up. He wants to run back. So you are taking a player out of that situation, and you are putting Dan James. Now, I think with the way I have talked about Dan James in a previous episode, I think it's pretty apparent that I have a soft spot for the guy. But that is because I really do feel that there is a person with a lot of potential that has really not been used properly. Like you don't become a bad player overnight. you don't unlearn all the skills and talent that you have grown with, right? And I have seen this guy tearing teams apart in the championship. I have seen this guy tearing teams apart in the Premier League when he started playing for us. So I know this guy has a bags of potential, but right now it falls on Oli to use him in a right manner, and using him in big matches on the left hand side, while playing a left winger on a in a center position doesn't really work out for me. So I think in the recent weeks, this is my biggest problem with the team Oli has been setting out. And look, with Daniel James, he's a brilliant option with matches in FA Cups and Carabao for the time being. He's very low on confidence, and I really want to see him more on the left hand side. I want to see him more on the left hand side with proper number nines and people around him who can support the person. Like this is the way you help the players around you. Players grow at a different age. Like I'm reading all this criticism that he's just not good enough. He's 22 years old. Let him go. Sell him this and that. He's young. People grow at their own pace. Yeah, like, if you have
Mm.
brought this player as a prospect player, you're gonna give this player time. And if after every average performance, if you start dishing out insults on him, it's really not helping the player and it's not helping the club as well. And so,
Mm.
yeah, I think that is my Dan James observation of the whole situation. Otherwise, I think we are using the tactics have been but decent overall because you look at Luke Shaw. I would like to talk about Luke Shaw in fact because I think when take back to the Chelsea match, and there were a couple of times when Chelsea were obviously playing with a low block because both of the teams went into the match hoping to have a better defensive performance, and they were ready to sacrifice the game for it, which they did eventually, right? So I think we wanted a better defense, and there were a lot of times when Luke Shaw had the ball and Dan James was trying to run off Reece James on the right hand side, on Chelsea's right hand side. Now Reece James is him in itself a very quick player, so Dan James wanted to get a bit of a head start to run ahead of him, so you can get a chance in the open. And many times I looked at Luke Shaw. And there were chances where I felt like, this is the open space. He's trying to make a run. Just send a through ball. And he didn't. He didn't throw. This did
Mm.
not happen one time. This happened quite a lot of times. And every time I looked in this situation, I just felt if there was Alex Telles here, he would have taken that ball down. He would have either run with the ball or he would have sent that long ball to Dan James. Because in these situations, you're obviously not helping the player ahead of you who are trying to play the way they play. And you're also trying to take the few situations that you're going to have in these matches away from you. Because when both of the teams are playing defensively like the way we did, these are the few chances that you're going to have to depend on to make any kind of foray into the other team's half. And so that is what my one criticism of Luke Shaw. But I think in itself he's a much better defender than he's an attacker, and that is I
Mm.
think that is something that we can agree on because I have seen him trying to make those attacking runs, but his first touch is just not up to it. And I don't even remember. Honestly do not remember ever being an attack-minded player because even when he used to
Mm.
play for Southampton, he was quick. He had a lot more pace than he has right now, but he was always a very defense-minded player. And it's very happy to see that he is having this injury-free run right now, where he is able to
Mm.
play and he's dishing out a lot of defensive stable performances. And I think he's a brilliant option at a left-sided centre back. And but as soon as Tellis can recover from his COVID-19 test, I think we should have him in the back four again. And Fresh, I would like to focus on here because I think the Fresh that we're seeing right now is the Fresh that we bought from the Shakhtar Donetsk, and that is the biggest point because for the last 2 years you always felt like a player who was out of position. You always felt like a player who was just not good enough. He's just not good enough for the Premier League in general. And now he has become that box to box marauder. He has taken responsibilities. Every time he has the ball, I just feel like he's going to deal with it. He will be able to deal with it. That is the confidence he's giving me right now. And when you think that about him, he is not very good attackingly in attacking match. Right? He's not going to give you those 40-yard streamer every other match. He's not an attack-minded player. But what he is giving you is that one link where he's able to link the defense and the attack. He runs. He always runs. Like from the first minute to the 90th minute, he's running and running. And I think his partnership as a partner to Nemanja Matic and Scott McTominay has been brilliant because they don't have to do a lot of running when they have Fred ahead of him. And Fred also helped Pogba in that regard because as we saw in the match against Leipzig, Pogba did not have to make a lot of back runs. And
Mm.
that's the thing with Pogba, right? We discussed it. The moment he starts feeling he needs to take defensive responsibilities, his attacking side just goes away. and something that he does not fancy, and something that does not really help his overall game anyway. So when he starts getting those attacking runs, when he starts getting that freedom, that's where Pogba shines. And the he has been benefiting from the way the midfield has been playing around him, which is brilliant in general, and which I'll bring back to Scott McTominay, because my biggest criticism with Scott over the past couple of seasons was he's a good player, he plays for the badge, he loves running around the pitch, he gives in for those tackles, but he was not exactly defensively astute enough for me. And
Mm.
even for Scotland right now, he's playing centre back, he's playing right back. Even with Mata in a starting lineup, he's playing on the right hand side. He's providing defensive support alongside Aaron Van Bissaka to Mata. So his defensive game has improved overall, and that is something that is again that I'm really liking, because what Oli tries to do in his counter-attacking system in the Premier League, that he tries to have a defensive pivot in the midfield where he plays Fred or Matic or McTominay alongside him, and this really helps because the back four really gets a lot of support from this midfield, and the fact that they are able to play as good as they are right now, with the attacking players getting that freedom and that security at the back, I think that is a lot of optimism for me. And Aaron Van Bissaka, well, he's back at his tackling best, and I think we all
Mm.
have talked about how if he gets defensively better, he'll become one of the finest right backs in the league, and he's already one of the finest tacklers, because it doesn't matter what his defensive
He'll be
position is right now.
finest in the
And
world. I think he's one of the best in the league. He'll be best in the
he
world
indeed
if
is.
he becomes attractive. Because defensively, I don't think there is anybody who comes to mind who is a better prospect than Aaron Van Bissaka at the moment, currently. And I'd like to shift the conversation from Anshuman to Wali now, because we have talked to him as well about the whole tactics and what he thinks about what is going on with United right now. Wali, what are your thoughts about it, or do you want to add anything to what Anshuman said about the whole tactics and how United are playing at the moment?
Well, I think it's been really good in the last couple of games in the Champions League. Like I said, no issues. Even in the game against PSG, it was a end-to-end game. But I think from top to bottom, it was tactically, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the best manager out there. And I was, like I said, I was disappointed in the game against Chelsea. The reason is because we knew that we could do better. And if he had shown that it did, yes, I could also understand him, because the last time that we played at home was at 6-1 thumping against Tottenham. So he was a little pragmatic over there. But I think after that recent 5-0 win against Leipzig, we are going to see a much more positive intent for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And like Anshuman said, Dan James is struggling right now. He needs time to develop. You could say that, but tomorrow I do not think he needs to start. We have to start. We have to start almost the similar players that we did, because, like I said, the league is there for the taking. Even if we do not win it, like, okay, we're not winning it, but still you can always contend for it. You can, because it's wide open. It's wide open. You need to field your best players over there, and if the confidence builds in the Premier League, you will simultaneously do well in the Champions League as well, because you're already beating quality teams, and you already know that when teams come up, when teams want to go mano a mano, they want to basically, attack. We can rip those teams apart. It's the teams that set a low block, because of which we are not able to create as many chances. I hope that changes tomorrow, because Arsenal are going to be quite defensive, and it's going to be a really good quality game between the two sides, because we know Mikel Arteta likes to play it from the back. We also like to play it from the back. Uh, they do press, and we also do the same. But the thing is, like I said, Arsenal are going to be more reliant on their wing backs to create the chances rather than the central areas. Us, on the other hand, have been more even though we try to create chances from the flanks, but our central region is also quite productive in terms of Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. Then I think Cavani is going to play tomorrow, so he's also going to have a say. If not Cavani, then Greenwood. So I think we are, like I said, Arsenal are also there for the taking. We have to beat them. It's going to be a big win if we get it. And if we set up the right tactics, like I said, against the Leipzig or the PSG game, then I'm sure that we will win.
Yeah, certainly. We are playing some football that is quite fantastic, and we all are proud of that. But I want to talk about some players in particular. We talked about Fred a bit and how he's fantastic for us. One player that we all have to talk about is Marcus Rashford. And To be very particular, Marcus Rashford MBE, it's his birthday today, so a very happy birthday to Marcus Rashford as well, if he hears us somehow. Marcus Rashford is celebrating his
Happy birthday, Marcus
23rd.
Rashford.
Marcus Rashford is celebrating his 23rd birthday. He's quite small when it comes to his age, but not in his stature. The things that he's doing right now is nothing short of uh, uh, applaudable or fantastic or any adjective that you want to use. He's been an absolute force when it comes to the whole situation regarding every child getting food, his whole campaign, and how he's pushing the government to pass the bill. And he's not only off the pitch, this is what I'm talking off the pitch. On the pitch, in the past month, I think he has been the player of the month. We'll talk to Anshuman first about it. Anshuman, what do you feel about Marcus Rashford?
Well, look, irrespective of what club he plays for and what sport he plays, I think what he has done off the pitch regarding the child ending the child food poverty, I think this is very important on a lot many levels because in Britain, because this is something that has affected him personally. And at that age, at the age of 23, I think the what we almost forget that as a kid people like to enjoy in a lot of frivolous, what do I say? Try to enjoy a lot in that age. They have a lot of weird proclivities, like they play video games, they buy cars, they'll have different avenues. Now, fair play. You know what? It's your money, it's your life. You do whatever you want to do with that. But that early in your career, that early in your life, to be able to just stand up and say, you know what? I'm gonna start right now. I'm gonna start tackling this issue that I have faced as a child as right now. That this is a guy that has suffered with his family who were not able to put a food on the table, and he has straight away come out of the gate and he has wanted to tackle this. And most of the politicians looked at him as just another guy who was just going out of his way to getting some clout, and they gave him an honorary doctorate, they gave him an MBE, and he's not going away. He's just not going away. He has more than 1 million signatures for that petition to bring in that bill again into the parliament. And he's even in the after the matches, his first tweets on social media. It's not about good match today, lads. Yeah, I had a hat trick. No, the first tweet he's making is on the continuation of those previous tweets that he's making about the childhood poverty. He's individually teaming up with food banks, with food charities, with restaurants across the nation, across the United Kingdom, and they are coming together with Rashford, and they are working with him, providing free meals. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like off the pitch, irrespective of what club he plays for, Dr. Marcus Rashford MBE, take a fucking bow, man. You have been amazing. You have been absolutely amazing over the past 1 year, and it's really it's heartwarming to see the way he has gone about it. Now, coming back to his current performances, right, on football, there was a lot of criticism that he was getting for the past couple of months that he's not doing enough. And I think I would like to take back to this point again that he's still 23 years old. 23-year-old footballers are allowed to have a bit of average phase of form. And it took us 5 years for us to realize that Marcus Rashford isn't exactly a striker, a hold-up striker. He's the kind of player that likes to come out from the wide. We have seen him excelling from the left-hand side. We saw him excelling from the right-hand side in the midweek. From the right-hand side is the place where he started his career for us at. So, we are finally reaching that age that, and when Solskjaer came, by the way, so Rashford was not really a finisher. He was a player with a lot of talent. He was a player with a lot of skills in his repertoire. He was a player who had this batch of potential, but he was like 20-year-old, and we were just like, this is a guy that will get better with age. And I remember at the time that we had a certain, Raheem Sterling in Man City, who had his coming of age season as well at 23 years of age, where he started talking about the issues of racism that he was facing, the social
Mm.
media trolls that he was facing. And he had that coming of age season where not only he tackled these issues of the pitch, and he also started becoming a forward who could churn in those numbers in assists and goals from Pep Guardiola. So he has his seasons at the age of 23, 24 as well. And that is something that we saw with Rashford last season. Well, I think the last season was the first time he had more than 20 goals in all competitions. So
Yeah,
I think he's reaching that age where from being a prospect who could do good, he's actually becoming good. He's actually becoming world class. and this is somewhere that Oli needs to take a lot of credit, because he was the kind of striker that would like to come off the bench, gauge the situation as quickly as you can, and have that super sub performance that bang in goals. And if you need as an example for how Oli was as a player, and you just need to look at Marcus Rashford's performance in the midweek, because this is the first time in 21 years that a Manchester United player has come off the bench and scored a hat trick. The last person,
Mm.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Ole Gunnar
So
Solskjaer.
I think as far as the performances go, I think Marcus Rashford deserves a lot of credit for the way he's growing. Oli deserves a lot of credit for the way he's utilized Rashford in this situation, at least. So I'm very happy with the guy, and I don't really think that he's performing badly. I think even when he's not churning out goals and assists, he likes to run around. He provides a lot of threat for the players. So I'm really, really, really happy with the way he's going both on and off the pitch.
Yeah. Certainly, he has been fantastic, and you have to give it to him that the guy has been churning in performances after performances in the past few yeah, seasons. But right now, he's in one of the finest forms we have seen Marcus Rashford in. Certainly, there is a dark cloud over Manchester United from the past few years, but this side is looking like some solid side, and which will be able to get in some trophies uh, if I think we are able to capture, say, an FA Cup and finish in the top three. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to keep the job, but for that to happen, he has to play consistent football because there will always be the controversy regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's position, especially because we are Manchester United and our uh, our fans are not as generous as we like to believe sometimes.
I
So
would like to say
that
something about Oli here, like
yeah,
if I
yeah,
may say
please,
so.
yeah, please,
I was listening to Guardian Football Weekly podcast earlier today, and
yeah.
there's this guy, the Guardian correspondent for Manchester called Jamie Jackson. He has written this book on it's basically a biography on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and
Mm,
he was talking about Oli as a person while he was researching for the book, and he was talking about his time in Cardiff, and he was talking about his time when he arrived in Manchester as a player, and he was talking about how by you as in the British media, for us maybe even in India, this might not seem like a big deal, but in Norway, he's quite a big deal. Like he's one
mm,
of the biggest football persons right now, and for him to be able to get this job and hold it for this long, I think that's his magnum opus, and that's uh, the entire Norwegian population can be all but proud of him. And Jamie talks about how when he came to the club, he was always supposed to be one of those bit part players that Sir Alex bought, who would just stay in the club for a couple of years and
mm,
don't won't do much. Will just provide backup to their main players in Andy Cole, Dwight York, and Teddy Sheringham we had at the time.
mm,
And he would just provide backup. He would just play maybe few matches, and then he'll go out. He'll go to a different club, and that will be that for him. This is a guy
mm,
who, just because he wanted to and he could, stuck. He could even left for a smaller club for more game time. He never did. He loved the club. This is a guy who came from Norway and owned Manchester as a town, owned Manchester United as his own family, and dug his heels in and stayed. And that is the testament to the person Oli is. Oli has always been like from a guy who nobody really gives a lot of credit to. No one really looks at him and goes, you know what, he's going to do big things. No one really talk about him in that way. Even if you talk about the
mm,
Manchester United players that played with him, and you ask them,
mm,
like, do you really think he could have become a manager the way he is? No. No, no, nobody can say he never looked like a manager. He was good at reading the game because he used to come off the bench to score the important goals. But
mm,
as a manager of one of the biggest clubs in the world, no, never. He could never do that. Nobody could ever envisage him to become the manager he is. And that is what Oli has always been about: to go against the odds, to beat the odds, to prove people wrong that yes, no, you are nobody to decide what I can do and I cannot do by the virtue of my facial appearance. I am going to deal with this. And then he moved on to talk about how Oli has already spent 4 years as a manager in the Manchester United academy. So most of the players that he's playing with right now is already played with. And more importantly, the likes of Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard. These were here there in the academy. These players have played under him. So it's not like Oli just came out of nowhere. It's like giving him the caretaker job was a fine decision because you already had managed at the club, not only just played in it. And then he talked about the
mm,
Cardiff relegation time. And while it is very sad, and while it can be sound very underwhelming, like why did a guy who managed, who relegated Cardiff, would just get the Man United job? Forget that for a moment. He talked about Cardiff's time, his time at Cardiff, and the respect the players have, even though they did not have a good time. Like when you think about Cardiff City, they did not stay in this league that season as well, and then they came back up in the Premier League with one of the most beloved managers in Premier League. You could say Neil Warnock, and everyone just went, "Oh yeah, he'll keep them up, he'll keep them up, he'll keep them up." For better or worse, he did not. Cardiff got relegated again. So the fact that Cardiff City is not a Premier League club right now, there is a lot more reasons to it than just Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And he talked about how, Ole, people respected him. The players at the club respected Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because there were many times when he wanted to bench the important players, and instead of going through different challenges or just not picking them, he would invite them into his office and straight up to tell them to the face that I'm not picking you up for the match. And guess what? Players respected that. So, this factor that he is not just a PE teacher and he has no clout in managing the teams, he's not good enough to be a
Mm.
manager in any way. That's just unfounded because he has proved time and time again that he's very well enough to be a manager. And, the biggest criticism that I see about Oli is that he's no Guardiola and he's no Bielsa. Well, guess who also
Mm.
isn't Guardiola or Bielsa? Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, I know I'm digging my
Mm.
own grave by introducing Sir Alex to the same conversation alongside Oli, but I think it's fair to say that whatever Oli is trying to do is a fair emulation of the way Sir Alex went about. Like he was never a tactical master. He was never a tactical philosopher. Like Bielsa is or Guardiola is, who will just invent a new tactical system and blow everyone's mind. That was never who Sir Alex was. What Sir Alex was, he was a brilliant man manager. He knew how to manage a team of egoistic, high world class individuals together, and he used to have two different 11s who could win a Premier League team for you. That's how good a man manager he was. And he was always offhand. He would just manage the team and the staff around him. He would rotate the players, he would rotate the club staff, and he would rotate the managerial staff. And he had that control and he used to manage all that. His man management skills were the testament to the legend that he is right now. And that is something that Oli has taken inspiration from. So the fact that Oli is not a tactical genius on the likes of Guardiola is fine by me because he's never going to be. That's not what Oli as a manager is. So I think we need to get that thing out of the window that is not the manager Oli is to start end to end with. Is he a good manager? Is he should have been given the Manchester United job right now? I will still put my hand up and say that it was too early. But guess what? Teams have been making these faulty decisions all the time. Chelsea should not have signed Frank Lampard. Juventus should certainly have not given Andrea Pirlo the role, who doesn't even have his UEFA badges right now. So I think this discussion can go on and on. But the fact that Oli is not good enough as a manager is very unfounded. He's learning. He's learning like everyone is. And we can sit here and debate all day whether he should have been given the job or not. But for better or worse, he has done in his own capacity an amazing job as a Manchester United manager. So for the criticism that he's getting, I think a lot of it is just on the face that he looks like a babyface assassin. So I think the superficiality of the whole thing is something that really dumbfounds me. And he has proved his critics wrong time and time again to be able to out tactic the likes of Mourinho, the likes of Guardiola, the likes of Pochettino, the likes of who have you at Nagelsmann and Thomas Tuchel right now. This if you were not a manager worth your salt, you would not be able to do this. So he is as good a manager as one can be right now. And I think I would like to end by picking what Wali said a few moments ago, and it was a brilliant point. Like if you have an image of Oli as a PE teacher, so whoever manager that is coming after Oli is gonna get a lot more pressure on him because, like Wally said, if you bring like a Pochettino in, the whole media is gonna go bonkers behind you, and they're gonna go, well, this PE teacher got third with United. You have to win the title because apparently you are a better
Mm.
tactical manager than him, right? And with the thing with Pochettino is that his biggest achievements in his managerial career is saving Espanyol from relegation and reaching
Mm.
Champions League final with Tottenham. He doesn't have a trophy either. Guess what? His amount of silverware is even fewer than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he has one Norwegian title back at home. And if you bring hypothetically you bring up Pochettino in, why would he want to come when he knows what we know that every third season Manchester United's board stops supporting you, and if you don't win a trophy, your CV just gets worse because again he will become the manager who cannot win silverware. So I think his next,
Mm.
as far as Pochettino is concerned, the next club he would like to join is the one where he could at least get some silverware in, like the likes of Juventus and PSG, who I think are ready to sack their manager anytime soon. I know for Pirlo it's too soon, but you never really know. They sacked Sarri a while ago, so I think Pirlo could be gone. I think anyway, to end it, I think Oli has been doing really well. These ups and downs will happen, and it's a completely different debate whether he should have been here or not. But for better or worse, he is. The crown of the Manchester United managerial is on his head right now, and for better or worse, he's doing amazing. So good for him the way he has panned out so far, and I think he's doing a lot of things that are proving well in the good run, long run.
Yeah, certainly. You have expanded the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer point quite well, and for the previous views that you had about him, it is quite a shift
Right.
from from someone who was not very well fond of him to someone who is at least having the respect that he is the manager and he needs some time. As what I feel about the whole situation is that first of all, it is Manchester United, and you're gonna get criticism. That is a given. Also, the fact that this is not the time when Sir Alex held the reins of United in 1980s, when he was given full freedom for 4 years, where
Five
he was
years,
not
five
able
years
to
he was given.
uh, where he was not able to perform, and still he was being backed. And this is not going to happen for Manchester United, especially now because we have not really fallen off grace. We were still able to win an FA Cup. We were still able to win Europa League in the meanwhile after Alex Ferguson retired. So there were trophies coming in, and there was certain signs that United were not completely off, like Liverpool was at one point, where they were completely being neglected for everything, and they were not winning anything in their glorious history because for the past I think 25, 26 odd seasons when Premier League has been in place, yeah, Liverpool weren't able to make a mark and win it in particular, barring the previous season. Also, Liverpool are now in lead. Jota scored one for them in 85th minute, and they are 2-1 up right now. So,
Good for them.
a fun fact is that after Liverpool clinched the title, and especially in the way that they did, this is the team that has conceded the most goals for any side who has won the title. This has become the side which has conceded the most goals since they clinched the title, the day which they clinched it, to the games running up to this. And this is going to only become a larger and more problematic issue because they are not going to have Van de Beek at the back. Van de Beek, sorry,
Van Dijk.
Van Dijk at the back.
Van Dijk.
I'm sorry, Van
They
Dijk
wish
at the
they
back.
had Van de Beek.
Uh, Also, I said Van de Beek because we're going to talk about him and finish off on that particular note. The whole situation regarding Van de Beek and the rumors and what do you feel about the all the negative things that are being talked about him? First, we'll start with Wali about the whole issue. Wali, what do you feel? How is so much negativity being attracted to Van de Beek when there is only 1 month from the start of the season, and how the whole media has certainly felt that why he being signed, why is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer neglecting it, and when he plays, he's fantastic. Why is he not giving game time? This and that. Whereas no questions are being asked to other players like Mahrez when he was signed from Leicester, who was a top player and he was not given consistent play. Why is it that Van de Beek is facing the brunt, and what do you feel about the whole situation?
Well, honestly, when Donny Van de Beek didn't start against Chelsea and didn't even come off the bench, even I was a little bit surprised. Even I was wondering what's happening. Why didn't Van de Beek feature on the bench? That was quite unexpected because we all thought that he might be playing in that game. And then in the next game, I thought to myself that surely Bruno Fernandes will start against RB Leipzig. There's no chance that he will be on the bench, but Donny Van de Beek starts. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now gives him an opportunity, and that was a pleasant surprise, and he did, to an extent, play well. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that he was quite amazing, but uh, there were quite a
One of
lot
the
of
better players. One of the better players
yeah.
at least.
Everyone performed well. Honestly, to be very
Uh,
honest, I don't think there was a poor performance from any players, but Donny Van de Beek, especially considering the way that RB Leipzig were pressing us high on the pitch. Van de Beek had the composure to see that off, and other than that, he has a fantastic touch, a good vision for goal as well. We've seen that, and he can pass the ball with precision too, without any pressure. For example, if you have a Bruno Fernandes, even though he is a decisive passer, he can give you the goals and assists. But if you press him high enough, you can expect him to at least lead to a few misplaced passes. But Van de Beek, I think if you put a little bit pressure on him, he will still find the right guy to pass to in a safe and secure manner. Uh, no disrespect to anyone, both of them have their qualities, and we need such players with the different qualities because that's what makes a team by the end of the day. So yes, we were surprised that he didn't start. And it's another interesting one because none of us, I think, neither of us can predict that will he be starting or will he be on the bench tomorrow. It's basically like a gambling game right now. Does Van de Beek start or will he be on the bench? And if he starts, it's good and it's well and good. But even if he doesn't start, I don't think that we might be having much of a problem. But I don't know, man. It's a strange one. I think he will be starting tomorrow. Let's just see what happens.
Let's just see what happens. That is the statement from Wali. Anshuman, what are your thoughts about the whole Van de Beek situation, and why do you think there is so much question regarding his spot?
Well, first of all, the questions are there because it's Manchester United, and thus there always be questions. And I think if you ask a social media troll who just wants to make fun of anything that happens with any club, I think they'll always be able to find multitude of responses for anything. And I would like to think about the situation when Andy Robertson and Gini Wijnaldum came in for Liverpool, and they came from relegated teams. And first of all, people just started asking questions: well, why are you buying relegated players? And then Fabinho came in the next year. And why I'm using these examples is because I just don't get the fact why people make such a big fuss about players that have recently been brought in, not playing or not performing well. I think we need to take the human aspect of the situation. It's a very big deal to change your country, change your city, move to a different place altogether, take your family with you, start a new life. And this is something that we don't really take a lot of account of, and this is something that every player deals with. Right now, so if someone starts playing brilliantly from the get-go, like Bruno did for us, good for them. But that is something that happens very exceptionally. That is not something that you should look and take a barometer of. Like, you know what? This is this is the only way a player should play the moment they are transferred, and that's not how it happens. Now, for fans of different clubs, it's pretty normal for to make fun of the of Van de Beek looking forlorn. For me, the biggest problem is why are reputable pundits and players talking about him like this? And seeing on Twitter, and I'm seeing people, actual reputable pundits, taking the screenshot of that picture in where Donny Van de Beek was looking forlorn and sad against Chelsea, and he's just looking at the match like this. And I'm looking at the tweets and I'm going, what are you? And what do you expect him to do? Do you expect him to laugh maniacally? Do you expect him to keep smiling with his teeth out? Like, this is what a player looks like when they have nothing to talk or
So,
say anything about. Like, what are you
Anshuman,
expecting him to
Anshuman,
react to?
yeah,
Mhm.
I would just like to interject over here. And the funny thing is that these pundits say that, and some of the rival fans also say that there wasn't a need of buying Donny Van de Beek. And that is
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what
In
I
fact,
do not get.
Patrice Evra said, and
How could you say
he
that?
said that
Because
he doesn't need to be bought. I'm like, excuse me, like, did you remember last season when everyone was going worrying over what would happen if Bruno Fernandes does not get a substitution? Bruno Fernandes played every single match, and he was knackered, he was tired, he wasn't even able to continue the next 90 minutes in every match. And we looked at him,
right,
and we always thought that this is a guy who need a substitute to play in few matches, and that substitute is neither going to be Andres Pereira, and that substitute is not going to be Jesse Lingard either. And that is something that we have in Donny Van de Beek now. And people are saying that he is the same player as Pogba and Bruno. He's not. He's much more direct than both of them. He's good with long passer. His close control is brilliant. He likes to take on players, and which is different than Bruno, because every time Bruno gets the ball, he likes to pass it around. He just wants the game to move ahead. And he takes the game. Van de Beek takes the game to the team. He likes to run. He's a runner. And because of the way he plays, I feel like there is a better chance of him to start tomorrow against Arsenal, because he will actually fit the way Arsenal tries to play. But that is beside the point. The point is Van de Beek is very much required, and it's
yes,
absolutely pointless and stupid, especially to see people who have played the game, who know the game inside, how to come out and say that Van de Beek should not have been bought. Look how sad he is. 5 matches into the season, man. Season has just begun. Every single winning team have at least two options for every position they play in. You look at the likes of Mahrez and Gundogan in Man City. I don't even ever remember them ever having a stalwart position like they are shoe-in. You look at our 30th Premier League winning teams. We never had a shoe-in side. We had a side that we knew would play best, but we always had alternatives for every position we played in, down to the goalkeeper, down to the right back. That's what we have. We have a veritable, genuine option in Van de Beek to play in the positions Paul and Bruno play, and he's playing brilliantly. So I just really don't see what the problem is, and he's going to play There are going to be matches where he sits on the bench. There are going to be matches where he starts in the mid, like in the midweek, and as the season progresses, as the injuries and the form comes in more and more, he's going to have more in the game because he's consistently playing brilliantly. So I don't really. So rotation is the only reason he'll stay on the bench. Form will not be. He'll get many more appearances, and his season is only about to get better. His tenure with Manchester United is only about to get better. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, certainly. That pretty much sums everything regarding Manchester United and the state of the team, the criticism and everything. Donny van de Beek, well, he'll have to deal with it as of now, and I hope that he comes out as the player he was at Ajax, and I believe that he'll come out a fantastic player because he is a quality midfielder. And once he starts scoring as well, because he's a great creator, he can score. We have seen that, and there is some spark with him. I hope that the whole situation regarding English media and everything doesn't get to him, as it quite often does with many players. So that is it from our side at One United. We'll be talking to you guys soon. I think hopefully
You didn't
sooner.
you
And
didn't give your predictions.
oh,
At
we have
least give
not
us
given
the
the
predict.
predictions yet. Yeah, we can at least wind up with the predictions.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take with you first only because you were the one who highlighted it. What are your predictions about the game?
Oh man, I honestly feel that it's gonna be a draw, but I'm gonna be a little optimistic tonight because I feel that we have it in us to get the win. So I'll say 2-0.
2-0 United is what Wali says. Anshuman, what do you feel is going to be the result against Arsenal tomorrow?
Well, my opinion is very much same to Wali's. I think that uh, we have the creativity that Arsenal are lacking right now, and a draw is a much more probable outcome. But I'll still go optimistic and say either a 2-0 or a 3-1. I think we're gonna score.
Okay, a 2-0 or a 3-1 is what Anshuman says. For me, I think uh, I think we are gonna score. Um, I think we're gonna score at least two against Arsenal, and it is going because Arsenal can also score with Aubameyang, and they have been playing decent counter-attacking football, and we have a habit of getting caught in the counter-attack. So I believe it is going to swing either two ways. Either it is going to be a very cagey match with Arteta and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer both not being able to break each other's tactics, or it is going to be a very high-scoring game with United winning by two or three goals. So I'll say either a 5-3, that is a very high-scoring game, or it is going to be a 1-0 or a 2-1.
Oh, by the way, fun fact: from the last 4 games, we've conceded 2 goals, and both of them have been own goals. So basically, we haven't conceded a goal. So
Uh,
yeah, that's a
we have
positive.
considered a goal in open play from the opposition.
Yeah, to be
Uh,
exact. So let's just hope that sticks and we prevent the own goals.
because we have been defensively very fine. Let's be
Yeah,
honest, we have been playing decent football, and I'd like to see Tuan Zebe back. I'm very
yeah,
hopeful from him, and
we
I
might,
want
we
him
might.
playing regular football because this guy is a player who can shine for United, especially because he's homegrown. He'll also get the love of the local support, and he'll be the local lad who shown from the ranks. So I'd like to see that happen. I think that's it. We have covered
Yep.
everything regarding Manchester United as of now. We'll talk to you guys again very soon. Hopefully, we'll come live after the match against Arsenal, or will come live in a day or two, if not straight after the match against Arsenal. So that's it from our side at One United. I'm Paritosh Joshi along with Anshuman Joshi and Wari Siddiqui. Sayonara. Good night. Ciao.